article from The Hill. This article here came out on 8/7 of 2023. And what it says is that America's white majority is aging out. What does that mean, aging out? I don't think they're aging out. How do you age out? Age out of what? What are you talking about? You mean dying out? Does that sound too scared, too scary, too harmful, too egregious? Oh, too horrifying. Oh, just vote for Trump. It'll all magically go away. Oh, then we're dying. People die every day, B. Generation Z will be the last generation of Americans with a white majority, according to census data. Now, people should be looking at this kind of information and starting right now, coming up with long-term political strategies. Political strategies should be being cultivated right now. The nation's so-called majority minority arrived with Generation Alpha, those born since about 2010. Barely 2 decades from now, around 2045, non-Hispanic white people will fall below half as a share of the overall U.S. population. 2045. Some people will still be alive in 2045. That's only 20 years from now. But what I want people to understand is that these people are looking at these projection numbers, scrambling, trying to figure out what to do, how to maintain the artificial power structure. And what I'm saying is that if people like us are sitting up here saying that we're actually all about this, if we're on it, we actually about this, we about this life, we about to get it on and popping, people need to be, you know what I'm saying, coming up with some type of plan. And honestly, if you've heard, you know, a lot of the content that's out there, the racial wealth gap is supposed to be going down to 0 in 2053. There's not a lot of people talking about long-term planning out this stretch of time. And what I'm curious about is why. To me, again, like I said, you know, there's people that talk, right? Okay, well, if you're talking that talk, you need to do strategy. Stuff is not going to magically come together. When there is a power vacuum, that's when power is supposed to be seized. If we got to go through 2 generations of YouTube videos as a means of addressing issues that we have, at what point do we start questioning other things? Shout out to my man Tricky Nick. What's good with it, bro? Real quick, ladies and gentlemen, if you guys haven't smashed that like button, please take a moment, smash that like button. Also, if you guys have not hit that bell, make sure you guys hit the bell. And also, if you guys have not shared the stream to your social media, please take a moment, share the stream to your social media. All right. So now here says those conclusions and the numbers behind them seem simple, though. Yet some scholars contend that the numbers are wrong, or at least misleading, and that the looming ascent of the majority minority America is a myth. America's white majority and its numbered days is a lightning rod topic, given the nation's history of slavery and enduring patterns of discrimination against black people. Here it says minorities and immigrants, but we all know that they recruited these minorities and immigrants to assist them for this very reason. They didn't discriminate against minorities and immigrants at all. And minorities and immigrants don't really complain about it unless it's black people that they're having issues with. You'll sit up there and get beat up, bullied, and deleted at a 70% rate by white people and only complain about the time when a black person pushes you down. You guys don't know anybody that would do anything like that, do you? So now here it says demographics and economists celebrate the nation's growing diversity as vital to a prosperous future. Other voices vilify racial change as a threat to the nation's white heritage. Well, the nation doesn't have a white heritage. And remember, the nation's white heritage is those very people that talk about the nation's white heritage that say, well, it's not about race, but it is about white heritage, huh? I mean, if it's not about race, then, I mean, people will have no problem going in peace. It's not like the whole human race is going anywhere. But now all of a sudden it's all about race. Now all of a sudden it's all about race. Why the urgency? Race is the most complicated variable in the census, and it's the one that draws people like moth to flames, said Dowell Myers, a professor of policy, planning, and demographics at the University of Southern Carolina. Generational data from the 2020 census shows the upward march of racial diversity by age group. Non-Hispanic white people make up 77% of the population. So again, look at this. So the population has not changed. Non-Hispanic white people make up 77% of the population over age 75. 67% of the age 55 through 64. 55% of 35 through 44, and barely half of 18 through 24. America's children are the only 47% non-Hispanic white, according to an analysis released this week by William Frey, a senior fellow at the Brookings Institution. All right, so my question is, would you guys like us to look at this Brookings Institution study at some point? Because we can. If that's something that you guys want me to do, because I don't know, I might end up having to do a part 2. If I end up having to do a part 2, do you guys want me to put the Brookings Institute report in the part 2? If you guys do, give me a thumbs up. If you don't, give me a thumbs down. So now here it says, in decades to come, that wave of diversity will wash across generations, yielding an America with no single racial group that can claim a numerical majority. Now, do you guys think that this was planned? And here's the question. If it was planned, who was it planned by? That's the question. By 2045, according to census projections, non-Hispanic white people will fall below 50% as a share of the American population. By 2050, non-Hispanic white people will represent less than 40% of the under 18 population. Demographics warn, however, that those milestones vastly oversimplify the story of diversifying America. For a start, millions of Americans no longer embrace a single racial identity. How many? It's hard to tell. So now here's the question. This is something that we need to pay attention to, right? This whole not embracing a single racial identity, that's something that people could try to weaponize against us as far as reparations claims. And you know, for some odd reason, white people have this very odd connection between race and gender. And I'm telling you guys, in the future, the next thing that'll be happening is if you wake up and you feel like you're a black person, it's illegal to say that you're not, because you're allowed to identify as your psychological race, which will be the same thing as gender. You know, there's sex and then there's gender. There's going to be race and then there's going to be psychological race. Shout out to Infantry Skills. Infantry Skills says, why doesn't that study talk about the FBA population? Because abortion has reduced our population and we will not be a factor in the future here in America. Well, I disagree. For one, I believe that as long as you have strategy, you'll always be a factor. I think that if we're looking to do business with the United States government and have the same kind of relationship with the government as other groups of people have, then that's not going to work. But if you say that you're not going to be a factor, you're trapping yourself into a preconceived notion. And when people do that, this is where you got to pay attention to people that people listen to and ask yourself the question, why are these pro-blacks sounding more white supremacist than white supremacists? You know what I'm saying? We'll always be a factor. We just saw black people kick ass in one of the most racist cities in the nation. If Umar Johnson came out with a video talking about there's no need to celebrate the Alabama riverfront brawl, I mean, I guess that's his way to look at it. You know what I'm saying? But my question is, do you really want to go around saying that you're not a factor? You say it enough, you start to believe yourself. And if you believe yourself, then what's the point of anything? That just means hang your head. Everybody can exit the chat left front because we lost. We're not a factor. We're done. It's over. It's a wrap. Let me ask you guys a question. What happened if anybody that was down by 10 points with 10 seconds on the shot clock thought that they weren't a factor? What would happen? And one reason that the study doesn't talk about FBA population is because FBA is popular on YouTube and the US Census doesn't give a shit about FBA. They give a shit about shit that's standardized. The closest thing to what they care about that has any kind of tracing to the government is the designation of freedmen. If people want FBA to be something that is actually recognized by the government, then that's what we need to be doing, is working towards making that shit recognized by the government. The government ain't gonna put that shit on the census just because a bunch of motherfuckers on YouTube are hashtagging it. Sounds nice, would be nice, not reality. Dr. Claude Anderson had a whole thing set up with Native Black Americans and shit like that, and nobody even did, you know what I'm saying? That didn't get anywhere. So there's got to be a concerted effort to push to actually have that designated as a group. Recently, the US Census is actually accepting, they're actually accepting suggestions for new ethnic groups. Now, here's my question, right? Knowing that the United States has been accepting suggestions for new ethnic groups, has anybody followed the procedures to get FBA recognized by the U.S. Census Bureau? It's not going to do it itself. That's my question. So I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to go through this article. I can put this in the chat. But I'm going to show y'all something real quick. There's new Latino and Middle Eastern or North African checkboxes proposed for U.S. forms. Now, if you check this out right here, they've been accepting new terminologies. Now, I know Syrians had to go through the U.S. Immigrations and Customs Services Department of Homeland Security court in order to get the designation that they got, which they got designated as white through a court case called Dow versus the United States. But I mean, my thing is that, you know, that sounds nice in general, but like none of that shit is just going to appear like a rabbit out of the hat. If people want to do it, people got to do that shit. And I agree, Cameron, neither of those are racist. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to Infantry Skills. Infantry Skills says, Blacklight, in comparison to other birth rates in America, we are stagnant to abortion. Now, here's my question. Who's putting guns to people's heads and making them abort their kids? That's my question. Politically, the Dems are shifting towards Hispanics because they see the birth rate numbers. Right. They see people who aren't killing their babies versus people that are killing their babies. Which, again, it shouldn't matter what the hell the Dems are doing, because we should just have enough power within ourselves as a group to be able to force the hand. You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to get no handout. I'm trying to bend the hand backwards to the wrist is about to break. You know what I'm saying? See, there's like a lot of different wings and like a lot of different people and a lot of different methods. There's some people that there's like some sectors and some groups of people that kind of just, you know, they want to aggressively benefit from the status quo, right? And when I say aggressively benefit from the status quo, that means people talk that rah shit, but in reality, they just want a handshake deal and to be left alone. That's not my goal or my vision. My goal and my vision is world domination. And in order to dominate the world, you got to always stand on your beliefs. You got to be the best at everything at all times. You got to always hold it down. And you always got to make sure that you are always putting 100% effort into whatever it is that you're ready to do. And you're willing to go all the way with no half measures for whatever it is that you want to do. Anything that we have to do contingent on any group of white politicians cooperating with us, if you ask me, is destined to fail. So I never even take anything that they have to offer into consideration when I talk about what I'm talking about. Here's my question. Why are people killing their babies? Who's putting a gun to people's head and making them believe this white propaganda? That's my question. Let's start there. What if I came up to you and was like, I keep failing my classes because I'm not studying. I don't know what I'm going to do. You know what I'm saying? If I don't get like a 2.5 GPA, I'm going to fail. You would probably look at me like I'm crazy, right? And then if I said, well, this motherfucker over here studies all night and they get all A's, and I don't know, man, like I wanted to be the valedictorian, but I think they're going to be the valedictorian. You would literally look at me like I'm insane, right? I know I would look at somebody like they were, I would probably not only look at somebody like they were insane, but I would ruthlessly make fun of them to their face if they came to me with some stupid ass shit like that. You know what I'm saying? So now think about how it is when we're like, these people are creating a bunch of children and we're aborting our children. Okay, simple, very simple. Stop aborting. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's nobody that got a gun to their head. People can read, people can figure things out. People are expecting, you know what I'm saying? People are expecting these organizations and people that have a vendetta against them to throw them a rope to get them out of a pit. You don't think that rope gonna have barbed wire on it? You don't think that rope gonna have poison on it? Seriously, I'm curious. I want to know what y'all think. It's a fact. I gotta agree with Tricky Nick. Relying on the enemy is wild. It's what and the United States government is directly our enemy. The United States government is literally the organization that benefited economically from the institution of slavery and made the shit legal. Not to mention, the report came out from Reuters. There's over 100 lawmakers that are adosos in Washington, D.C. right now. But what it is that there's a what I noticed is that there's a failure to start problem. And if you ask me, the reason why there's a failure to start problem is because a lot of times people just repeat stuff instead of actually using critical thinking. Shout out to my man DJ Elmo. And honestly, I think that people don't want to critically think because they're either scared or they are actually, they do a value judgment at the last moment and say, you know what, I'm good over here. Good luck though, y'all, but I'm good over here. And people need to be honest about that shit with themselves. Everybody ain't a soldier, man. Everybody ain't built for this kind of shit. Everybody want to sound like they are, but they not. And another thing is people want to follow the people that they want to follow. People got emotional attachments to their thought leaders. Sometimes your thought leader ain't going to be who going to save you. Sometimes somebody that you can't stand is going to be the only person that can save you. And it is what it is. You just got to deal with that card that you was dealt at that moment. But people think they got a choice. People think they got a choice. Anytime I start talking about planning, you know what happens? Most times, it may be like in the chat, it may be about like 10 of us have a plan, or 10 of us suggest a plan. Immediately when we start talking about planning, a bunch of people say, well, we can't do that. Then what are we, if we can't do that, what are we doing any of this shit for? What's the point of any of this kind of content? I could go make some content where I go get a big ass van full of balloons and fill up a skyscraper and jump down the elevator shaft and get 1 million views on that shit. Like, I don't have to do this shit. So my question is, do people really believe that they're defeated down and out? Or do people actually believe that there is a chance where things can change? That's the question. That's the real question. Because my question is, how do you go from a video talking about how the people that have been your nemesis since the inception of the country are literally naturally falling out like dead insects, and it turns into we can't do it? I mean, if we can't do it and motherfuckers are just dwindling, dying, come on, man. Really? But again, it's the programming that people get. A lot of times people say that they don't listen to white supremacist content creators. They don't listen to white content creators. I only listen to black people. You know what I'm saying? What kind of black people you be listening to that tell you that you can't do shit? That's my question. I mean, if the way that people say that they only listen to black shit, I mean, I would think that I'm listening. You know what I'm saying? Everybody in the comment section feel like they strong enough to lift up a car over their head because they got so much energy. That's not the reality, though. I'm trying to, and I always am trying to figure out the disconnect. Like, I don't understand it. How do you go from the start of a stream to, you know, where it's like, yo, these people are, you know, dwindling in numbers without our intervention? Let's create strategy. How does that degrade into how we are not capable of shit? There's one thing that we are capable of. We're capable of at least maintaining our population at least a steady amount. That's something that they're not capable of. Who is it that tells people these kind of things? People be saying that all they listen to is black content creators. But I don't understand what black content creator would set somebody up for their own demise. Because a lot of shit that I hear is demise talk. But then when TD Hip Hop Media do a video talking about how stupid people are for voting Democrats for 60 years, the very same people that's talking about demise talk will sit there and tell TD Hip Hop Media, all you do is talk doomsday talk. All you doing is fear mongering. This is where people start telling on themselves. How many of y'all ever been in a situation? How many of y'all ever been in a situation where you was about to do something risky? Whether it was something illegal, whether it was something you knew you was gonna get in trouble for, and you had a partner with you. It was your brother, it was your friend. Shout out to Jermaine. What's good with it? Somebody was with you, right? And y'all was like, yeah, we about to go do this dirt. You know what I'm saying? It's about to go down. Bet. It's about to be lit. Y'all get right to where y'all about to do something at. And then the other person like, man, I can't do it, man. I can't do it. Oh, I can't do it, man. I can't do it. That's a lot of people, man. We'd be right on the gate of getting reparations, and a whole bunch of people, I can't do it. I can't do it. If you one of them people that say you can't do it, then don't do it. Then don't do it. That's why I got a smaller audience than most people on YouTube, because I rock with people that feel that they're capable of doing it. It's only capable people only in my chat. Not Scooby and Shaggy dudes. Courage the Cowardly Dogs. How do you start out on a stream where you sitting there talking about how people are just dropping like flies, and then it degrades to, we can't do this? What can't we do? Shit. We can open up a whole bunch of funeral homes. We could buy up a bunch of land and dig a bunch of plots. We can do all type of shit. Yeah, Courage the Cowardly Dog do be putting in work. So do Scooby and Shaggy. So do Scooby and Shaggy, real talk. Fred be off involved in a threesome with Velma and what's the old girl named Daphne somewhere. And then they come running like they was doing something. Scooby and Shaggy, them already accidentally taking care of business. You know what I'm saying? Fred come back tugging his pants. You know what I'm saying? Velma's adjusting her bra. Oh, Scooby and Shaggy, where you guys been? Oh, we've been searching and looking and where you guys been? Scooby and Shaggy like, whoa, zoinks, we took care of it already. Yeah, Terrence said he's gonna start an urn company. Why not? Plenty of ashes. There's gonna be plenty of ashes in 2045. Shout out to my man Mike Mellis John. You know what I'm saying? So like my thing is like, yo, I'm not trying to sit here and give a speech because I don't like doing that. You know what I'm saying? I don't like doing that. But what I do like to do is try to encourage people. You cannot have a defeated attitude. The whole purpose of everything that we've been through is to make you think anytime you think about getting out of pocket, to not get out of pocket, to stay in pocket. Nah, staying in pocket is helping to support the shit that we up against. You got to get out of pocket and stay out of pocket. And what I'm saying is that if whatever it is programming that you're listening to is in an aggressive way trying to program you to stay in pocket, that's some delicious poison. That's some delicious poison. You know what I'm saying? People got to figure out what it is that they want. How long we've been talking about value chains now? There's people that's out here making moves using extra political means. Anytime I see some content about that, I try to show people that, like, yo, look. TD about media. Shout out to my man Cyber Dean with the $9.99 super chat. Good evening and B1. What's good with it, bro? B1. TDC, I got a plan. No, we can do it. Y'all some pinky in the brain ass. Look, you got to have a plan, bro. You got to have a plan. I'm telling you, people are able to do things through using the value chains. You know what I'm saying? And that's one of the reasons why we got to build some. We got to build up these value chains. Y'all heard about, were there when I read that article about the Ukrainians coming over to North Dakota? You know what I'm saying? They already have a job laid out for them, making enough money to where they're going to be able to come there and not ever have to struggle with poverty because they're coming into a job already, because a Ukrainian man there owns a gold field. I see people get turned into millionaires every day. You know, somebody put into my comment section, I said that was that guy's name Reggie Ray? I said that Reggie Ray should get $4 million. Somebody actually put in the comment section, they're on better footing than us. What's that have to do with Reggie Ray getting $4 million? Real quick, ladies and gentlemen, shout out to Val Williams with the $5 super chat. Val says we need to plan and strategize, and I agree 110%. Show Val some love with some radiation emoji in the chat. Now, shout out to Infantry Skills. Infantry Skills says those Ukrainians are being sponsored by the U.S. government. There's no way you can be here for a week, have a car, employment, and disposable income, keeping you out of poverty plus housing. Did you read that article from Politico where they talked about the Beacon oil field in North Dakota? There is actually a way that can happen. Some of it sponsored by the government, but some of it not sponsored by the government. Like there is indeed an actual way that can happen. Just because it's not something that we're currently doing doesn't mean that it's impossible. What it means is that other people are effectively doing it, and we're watching them do it, and we're watching ourselves not do it. That's what that means. Now, we know that everything about Ukraine is being sponsored by the government, right? They've given Ukraine billions of dollars, right? But most of that is in military aid. There is a company called Beacon, if I'm not mistaken, I think it's called Beacon Oil in North Dakota, that's owned by a Ukrainian man. He's setting up these Ukrainians that come over to the United States with jobs at that oil field. You know what I'm saying? Also, remember, the United States government is our enemy. Our enemy is not going to set us up to be in a position to where it can fight us. Here's my question. When people go and circle the block on their enemies, when they get done shooting, if anybody survived, do they hand them a gun full of clips or do they ride out? Like, anytime we bring up what the United States government is doing, it's futile to me. I don't understand why the United States government also facilitated us being slaves. You know what I'm saying? If you ask me, right, it should automatically be understood that the United States government is not going to work with us. They're gonna work against us, and they're gonna do opposite of whatever it is that we're trying to do, right? So if you ask me, right, and I don't want you to think that I'm picking on you infantry skills, because I'm not. Just follow where I'm going. Bringing up what the United States government does or doesn't do is futile. It's a waste of time. The only time that it's worth anything is when it's time to embarrass people during political season. But we know that they're not going to do anything. We already know about the benign neglect memorandum. So we got to do all this shit ourselves and then utilize the power that we get from what we make to bully the government. So now this is my thing though, bro. Like, this is what I'm saying. This whole thing about people fleeing and shit, right? Here's my question. Like, we know that, right? So now my thing is, like, what is repeating that somebody's fleeing when we know that that's what they did? What is that doing to give us more power or to improve our status here in the United States? Like, if fleeing is the new, like, I don't know, like, that's the thing that everybody is concerned about now. All you gotta do is just go to USCIS, the United States Customs and Services immigration site, and look up all of the amnesty programs. And now my thing is that, here's my question, right? How many military trained people do we have here? So let's just say, for instance, our economy crashed tomorrow. How many people know how to load up some clips, load up some mags, and take to the streets and be able to protect their family like a guerrilla soldier? How many people in here are capable of doing that? You capable of cutting the throat? Who capable of doing that? You capable of being able to listen to a bomb go off right in your ear and have that shit ringing for the next week and still be able to concentrate to keep your family safe? How many people are? Shout out to everybody that is. But my question, do you all feel that the majority of the United States is, though? Are the majority of the United States? I don't think the majority of the United States is. Honestly, when it comes to the people that are, I think that there's a lot of white supremacists who are. So now, if shit hit the fan tomorrow, what are most people gonna do? Here go my question. This country has a divorce rate of what, 51%? Y'all think that them single moms gonna sit there and fight like guerrilla soldiers, or they gonna run? Now remember, that makes up 51% of the country. Divorces and single moms. They not fighting shit. Maybe some of them that have military training might, but that's few and far between. Yeah, they're gonna run, they're gonna flee. So here go my question: like, most people are going to flee in war. Like you know what I'm saying? Like, my bad that like everybody ain't Rambo and shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, is it safe to say that most people aren't Rambo? Most people aren't Arnold Schwarzenegger in Predator. So now my thing is, like, again, we know this shit. We know that most of these people are coming here with an agenda. Knowing that these people are coming with an agenda, my question is, what are we doing to counter it? Because as much shit as we sit there and talk about somebody that flees, they come here and flee, and they're finessing the government that we still trying to finesse to get reparations from. So what do that say about what we're doing? I'm not trying to sit up here and be roasting people and shit like that all day. You know what I'm saying? I want to get on the United States government's case. I want to make these motherfuckers pay. I want to see people get reparations. I want us to have some power. I want us to have a presence in stock markets, in mutual funds, in the global finance. So once we get past that, everybody's not Rambo and they fled. Now what? What is that doing to get us power? If you ask me, everything that we do should be about getting power. And I agree, Tricky Nick. It's not over, right? And I feel that we can change the tide, but I think that there's got to be a lot of things that we do different. Shout out to my man Jared. What's good with it, bro? Did I see OG Patrice come in here? Shout out to OG Patrice. I could have sworn I saw OG Patrice. Shout out to Shamika. So here goes my question, man. Like, okay, like I said, everybody fled. Now what? This person got a job. United States gave him $1 million. They didn't think about this. They didn't do anything, and they got everything that we do everything to get. But we still doing the same shit. So should somebody that is taking advantage of shit stop taking advantage of it? Or do we need to come to the reality of what the situation actually is and deal with the reality of what the situation actually is. We need to take over completely. Because us taking over completely is the only way we guarantee we getting fed. That's my question. Let me know what you guys think. Me personally, like, you know, as far as these bots and, you know what I'm saying, like, as far as like, you know, people that be talking shit that's non-FBA and shit like that, none of these people have any power. None of them is going to write my reparations check. They're not going to do shit. And once we get actual power, we can actually deal with them appropriately. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to get power. I'm trying to do shit like when somebody say some crazy ass shit, we can jack up the electric price to $100 a kilowatt hour until we get an apology and free shit for the next 10 years. I'm trying to bully people. You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to be nice. I want people to hate me when I die. Because of the ideas that I put in people's heads of what we're deserving of. And when you're on that kind of time, when you're on that kind of frequency, you don't have time for that silly ass shit. You just take a note of it. Okay. All right. I'll see you over there. Bet. Well, when I get shit the way that I want shit, you're going to have a real hard time getting into the country. Not only are you going to have a real hard time getting into the country, we're going to make it so that if you come in with a family, only one of y'all could come at a time. And it's a year processing time for each member. Yeah, we're going to do you like that. Because I see how you moving. Remember that shit you said? That's that kind of shit I'm on. I don't need no immediate get back. But see, that's part of being a Scorpio. Maybe it's because I'm a Scorpio. I want that poison to get all inside of your veins and all throughout your body. And then you start tweaking about a week later. And I start picking with you while you're tweaking. That's what I want to do. You know what I'm saying? I don't want no immediate shit. You guys know that the world is running out of water? Man, if people was coordinated the right way, I would tell people to buy up as many freshwater reservoirs as they could. Buy up as many water treatment plants as you can. Soon water is going to be like gold. It's going to be so scarce. Now, you know people can't live without water. Get all the water, jack up the price. Oh, you don't have any heart. I sure don't. Because nobody had any heart when we were asking for basic stuff. Now you expect me to have a heart. I'm going to do exactly what you said. You guys remember? It's ironic that Matt Walsh is crying about the white population going down. Because you guys remember that video that I showed you guys? Where Matt Walsh said that colonization is a good thing? Remember that shit you said, Matt? Because of that shit you said, I don't see a need to feel sorry for you. Because you said that colonization was a good thing. So when y'all get weak and get colonized, I don't know, bruh. I mean, I guess the only thing that I would expect from you is for you to give them their blessing and keep it moving. That's what being dishonest, unethical, arrogant, and having no integrity will get you. And that's exactly what it should get them. You can't feel sorry for somebody, or you can't feel sorry for people that get what they're supposed to get. If you stick your hand on a stove, you're supposed to get burned. If you come back and there's icicles on your hand, go take a drug test. Reality's supposed to work like reality. We can most times predict the causes and effects of future present events. I put my hand on some hot shit. In the immediate future, I'm going to get burned. You know what I'm saying? So now here it says, for a start, millions of Americans no longer embrace a single racial ethnicity. How many? It's hard to tell. So now here's my question. If you're not a mixed race person, right? And when I say if you're not a mixed race person, that means like if you have one parent, if you have both parents that are the same race, how do you identify as a mixed race person? How does that work? How do you just change? How do you just choose like one day I'm gonna start identifying as a multiracial person? How does that work? And the thing is who's allowed to do that? So now here it says America's white population is aging out. Again, what my question is, what is aging out? What does that mean? I've never heard of aging out until I read this. That sounds like dining out. Well, we about to go eat out. You about to go age out? About to age out of what? Your life? You know what I'm saying? That's what you about to do. You about to go age out of your life? What is aging out, and how does one do that? I know what dining out is. I know what going out is. I know what takeout is. What is aging out? Is that what the dinosaurs did? So now here it says, going back to those census projections, by 2045, more than 18 million people will claim 2 or more races. Why? Is the population of biracial people really going up that fast? Honestly, I don't think that these people here, I don't think that these are actual biracial people. I think that these are people who are one race that just have to be special. Like people who are born one way and just have to be special. I'm not trying to be funny, man, but in my daily travels and dealing with people, I've come across more people who don't look mixed, who emphasize that they're allegedly somehow mixed, more so than actual mixed people. But again, this is anecdotal evidence. This is just people that I've come in contact with in my daily life. But I've seen more people that are not visibly, easily identifiable as mixed, that literally will tell you that they're mixed with everything. And then when you're dealing with an actual biracial person, they never really even say anything. Then, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, they mom will pull up and their mom is white, or their mom will pull up and their mom is really light skinned, or their mom is really Latino or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to my man AB Promotions. My man AB Promotions just donated to the chair of the board. Shout out to AB. Make sure you guys throw some radiation emoji in the chat and show him some love. And now here go my thing, right? It's perfectly okay. Like if you're mixed or if you're multiracial, you know what I'm saying? I got, you know what I mean? Like that's fine. But those aren't the people that I'm talking about. And y'all know who I'm talking about. Y'all know the people that I'm talking about because y'all have seen them. Y'all have dealt with them before. I'm not talking about actual, legitimate, authentic, biracial, or multicultural people. That's not who I'm talking about. I'm talking about them ones that don't have any kind of accent. Those ones who have literally no identifying features. The ones that can't speak a lick of any kind of language if you ask them. But they straight up tell you XYZ. And you sitting there like, okay, sure. I wonder if that behavior that they too mature for is racism. Shout out to Lois. What's good with it? That's just weird. Sometimes I'll be looking at people like that sometimes. I hear them talking and I'll be like, okay, all right. I don't say much. I'm just whatever. You like it, I love it. I ain't saying nothing. So now here it says subtract them from the total and the population of non-Hispanic white people leaps from 49 to 52% of the remaining population. Their majority status is restored. So again, one thing that's really good about this article is showing the quantitative easing techniques that can be utilized to manipulate these numbers. Do you guys see how easy that is? Look at how easy it is to manipulate them numbers, man. So that's something that people got to keep track of. And again, that right there is one of the reasons why, if you ask me, I feel that it is extremely important. It's extremely important for us to start calculating and protecting our own information, our own research studies, generating our own bodies of knowledge. I'm trying to tell you guys, a lot of this stuff that these people come with, it may sound good, it may sound technical, it's fundamentally flawed in most cases. It's not accurate for the most part at all. You will look at it and you will ask yourself, why did I fall for this? Why did I believe any of this nonsense? Mental conditioning. Don't beat yourself up too bad. Everybody's a victim of it. Just learn, you know what I'm saying, and try not to fall a victim of it again. Nobody's perfect. You know what I'm saying? I see people beat people up on YouTube and stuff like that all the time. You know what I'm saying? What's that going to do? How that help anything? We need to be beating up WF.